Hey, good morning, everybody. I am one day late in case you did notice. If you didn't, well, here I am live. So today I want to talk to you about what we always talk about every week, which is what's happening in Edmonton's real estate market. And we're going to talk about what's been happening in the West Edmonton area. What I figured we would do first is to talk about the newer area, which is like outside of the Anthony Henday and then inside of the Anthony Henday. So I will show you where they're located in case you're watching from out of province. Now, the big question right now too is what is happening with out of province buyers? Are they still coming in? And I have a question for you that's watching. Are you still considering moving here? Now, I know there are still some of my clients that are wanting to move here and they're waiting for their home to sell, and homes aren't selling as quickly in Ontario and BC anymore, just like here. However, we're not seeing that huge of a slowdown, but I think they're definitely seeing more of a slowdown than they've been used to. And so price wise, it's probably being affected, but then that still drives people to maybe consider Edmonton again over Calgary, because Calgary is quite a bit more expensive still than Edmonton. So if you are watching live, let me know in the comments if you are watching from out of province. I'm really curious to know if people are still researching and trying to figure out if Edmonton is the place to be. And if you are going to move here, do you rent first or do you buy first? My recommendation is if you are not confident and you're just kind of testing the waters, definitely rent first. It's a lot less riskier. Now, the rent in Edmonton has become higher than it has in the past. Hey, Luis, are you from out of province and where are you from? And if you are thinking about moving here, the rental rate used to be really low. Like you could get a house for 2,000. I think you still can, but they're definitely upwardly creeping up. I'm seeing apartment condos and townhouses in the high 1,800, 2,000, or like low 2,000 a month for rental, where you used to see a lot lower of rent. And our out of town investors are now purchasing because there's quite the return for that. So rent versus own, the mortgage payments are now very similar, but the penalty to pay out if you're looking to move out in a year, then it's going to end up hurting you more. Edmonton born and raised, nice. So am I. All right, so let's just dive into what first is happening here in Edmonton for single family home listings. I just did an update on the weekend. You'll see a post for the video of all of June to see what's been happening in the month of June. And that's all properties, single family, attached, and the condominium. And it's for Edmonton and area, not just Edmonton. In this video series every Tuesday when we come live, and today's Wednesday, I'm talking to you about what's happening in the single family home market specifically. And we usually focus on Edmonton, West, and Southwest. If you're looking for other areas, definitely comment or send us an email. We can send you that information. So currently the listings continue to climb. Now you're noticing it's 2,919. We're just under 3,000. We're probably going to hit 3,000 here right away. And that was my prediction, is that we're slowly moving upwards. I don't see the listings declining anytime soon. So what does that mean? Are there more people selling? Well, okay, yes, there's more people putting listings up technically, but also sales are attributing that, right? And we're talking about single family, right? In general, sales are continuing to rise if you watch my video, but single family home listings, depending on the area, some are rising, some are lowering, and all said to equal, that's why the overall number for listings continues to climb up, because there's not as many people buying up the new listings. That's what used to happen, where you'd see the numbers eat up because they were eating into not just the new listings, but also the listings that existed, and it would just start to go down. Now we're going up, and it is July, and it'll probably continue, in my opinion, to continue to slowly climb upwards. And at this trend, we will see what happens. Usually you'll see a little bit more of a influx of sales in the next 2 months, but then it will go downwards. So I don't know, we're already starting to see that climb for a little while now. So let's see what's happening in sales for single family homes. Are they declining? Are they increasing? They're staying pretty similar. 263 to 270 is not a huge number to write home about. It's pretty consistent. These are single family homes, properties going under contract. So they're going under contract. We still are seeing multiple offers, We're still seeing price points move, but it depends on the area. So for example, in Crestwood, we saw multiple offers. The house was listed at 649,000 and there was 8 offers, I believe he said there was, the realtor said. So that, and then offers over 700,000, which is what won. So yes, in general, the overall pricing is going down, but that's Crestwood. So if you're following Crestwood, that area is really expensive and the lot themselves can be upwards of that amount. But if you're looking in the newer areas, that price point is moving a lot slower and they're not seeing multiple offers and they're hardly even seeing activity. So you have to understand the community itself and what it's doing. And in terms of how you price things, when the market's going downwards, you need to be smart with the pricing. If you are looking at selling a home over 1.5 million, that is just, it's literally, I know this sounds weird, but it is a waiting game. But you also do need to have the right pieces in place, right? So marketing, pricing, that's all important, the networking. But at the end of the day, there's homes that do sit. If you are aware of what's happening in the higher end market, a lot of my colleagues like literally posted that they just sold the house after 2 years of it being on the market, which is crazy. But that's a smaller market to find. And it's just a matter of time. Now, when we look at sold, these are the properties that were pending that got their conditions removed. And then now, or just automatically, like for example, that Crestwood multiple offer I was in, it was an unconditional sale. So sold immediately as soon as they accepted the offer. So like I said, we're not seeing as much of those anymore, but you can still see that we are seeing the solds can like transfer over. They're not all falling apart from pending, but we are seeing some deals. One of the listings we're looking at for with an investor, that one fell apart because of the other person's financing. So now it gives us the opportunity to go in there if we want. So you can see here that the numbers week to week aren't hugely different, 248 to 259 from last week, not a massive difference. Let's see. Let me just put your comment in well, actually, let's finish the last year's comparisons and then we'll bring up that comment that someone just put in. So compared to last year, this time at the same time last year, we're still tracking behind. We've been doing that for this entire year in case you've been watching. So our market is different than last year. It is slower than last year, even though the rates are lower. Everyone wants the lower rates and figured the rates would go, or the sales would go higher, but that's not the case at all. So BC base would like to move, but current home has lost too much value compared to when bought it. Will sit and wait. Right. So this is what we're starting to see. We're starting to see the people who are wanting to move now don't have that equity as they had hoped. Now, I don't know what the market is like in BC and if waiting will actually increase the price of the house. That's one. And I don't know if waiting will decrease the price of the homes here. The prices here will have been for a long time. I would say every time we have like a peak and then we have an autocorrect, it never corrects lower than it started before. It doesn't even come close actually. So the waiting game is maybe if you're saving money for a down payment and you're still making that move, but sometimes waiting doesn't allow that. For example, people last year who were waiting to buy when the rates went down, the rates are down now, but now the prices of the homes are higher. They didn't jump up like they did the year before. Like last year, it was over 10% increase. This year, like I had mentioned, I think it's going to be in the 8, but it looks like it's going to be 6 to 7% increase. So there's a lot of different factors when you're looking to do that. So let's see. What are you writing? Situation has made me purchase shy, will likely rent before buying again. Yeah, and I think that having a conversation with a mortgage broker, having a conversation with a realtor to walk through your specific situation to understand the market fully for your situation is going to be the most important thing to do. I think a lot of people make decisions based on YouTube videos like this or on the news or on whatever, but everyone's situation is different. And you don't want to kick yourself in the pants if you're last year or this next year thinking, I should have just bought, right? For sellers right now to sell a home and buy a home, if you are downsizing, that's more of a challenge in this market. If you're upsizing, this market has now become more favorable to you because the higher end is slower to move and the lower end is quicker to move still. And so you're able to do that. If you're moving from another province and seeing the difference in value, you have to take a look at what is the reason you're moving. Is it just because of the house prices? I've always said you should never move just because of the house prices. Are you moving because of lifestyle? Because your family can provide more here. We have clients that move from BC to Edmonton because, for example, the childcare is way more affordable here. They can actually afford a home. They can actually afford to have a backyard for their kids. Those are the reasons you need to look at about moving, not just, hey, this house price is so much cheaper. Because guess what? When the winter strikes here in Edmonton, you're going to be wondering why on earth you moved to a place where the air hurts your face. So you need to really understand what your motives are in moving. So I want to take a look at the West Edmonton neighborhoods to show you what's happening in that area. And so if you have any questions, please put in the comments. I'm going to be looking at West End, and I'm going to show you where in the West End I'm looking. So in Edmonton, oops, not Edmonton Lake property, Edmonton Map. Okay, so right here is Edmonton. And this little outline here shows you the city of Edmonton. And then you've got St. Albert, which we talk about, Spruce Grove, Leduc, Sherwood Park. You can also see how close like Sherwood Park is and how close. St. Albert has literally no highway in between, whereas Sherwood Park has a little bit of industrial that you're driving through to get there. And you drive through Atchison to get to Spruce Grove. But we're going to talk about West Edmonton. And do you see this road here? So this is there's a couple main highways in Edmonton. Highway 16 is Yellowhead. Then you got Anthony Henday. And then you got White Mud. For those watching from Edmonton, don't you remember the days where we just had the White Mud? Sorry, this is the White Mud here and here. And then you only had the Henday. Like we did not have this ring road. It made the city a lot harder to get around. So in the west end of Edmonton, we have the infamous West Edmonton Mall. And I talked about Crestwood, which is one of those expensive areas developed in Edmonton. And it's just right in here. Where is it not showing up? Okay, there we go. So Crestwood, Parkview, Laurier Heights, not starter neighborhoods. Land cost quite a fair bit of money. Nice, exclusive, close to the river valley, and especially the closer you get here, the more expensive it gets. And you'll see here, Glenora is in here, older neighborhood, one of the older neighborhoods in Edmonton. And then you've got these are built in like the 50s. And then you got the Edmonton West Edmonton Mall, which was in the 80s. Now, once we pass this 170th Street, this is quote unquote the newer area, not new. This whole section here is like 70s, 80s, 90s. Over here, this is still 70s, 80s. I'm going to look at zone 20, which is going to be 170th Street. So from here over to the Henday. So this entire quadrant, I'm going to show you this older area. And then I'm going to look at zone 58, which is past Anthony Henday. So these are all within the last 20 years being built in the newer areas. And so that's all of this area and here. But we also have some of the new areas as well. Because zone 58 also covers, this is Lewis Estates, and then Rosenthal and Secord. So you can see less green than over here because this is still empty land, although Rosenthal is pretty much almost full. And look at Secord. It's almost done as well, which is so crazy because I moved in here, I don't remember how many years ago now, 2009. We've been in Rosenthal for almost 7 years, and this area has taken a lot longer to grow than this, but it's smaller. There is going to be a school that was announced for K-6 in here. I don't know when it's opening, but they're not doing K-9. They're doing K-6 and then a bunch of fields in this like area. So like all of this will be green. That's why you're seeing. And then this is the rec center. Rec center here. And then over here is going to be like school. So it's quite going to be picked up. And then this is all like, this is farmland, yes, but it's actually, yes, this area here is River Cree like land. They're developing something over here. And then this is, I believe, still farmland. So anyways, back to the stats. And I see your comments, Irina and Ethan. I'm going to post them in just a minute, but I want to go into this area here. So Zone 58 currently has active and pending 184 houses available. When I take off the pending deals, there's only 146 available listings. I should say not only. That's a lot higher than we've seen in a long time. When the market is more of a seller's market, you're seeing like 20 available properties. So the fact that we have 146 is a lot more than we used to have. If I look between 400 to 5, or let's say 600, the most popular range, you have 88 homes. So still quite a bit of homes to buy in that area. If you look upwards of 600 and up, you've got 54. So it's still a decent amount of homes available. 400 to 500 is 37 properties. And we'll take a look. It starts from 429 to 499. 429 is going to be a single attached garage duplex. Okay, and this looks like a older townhouse that has newer floors done. And very green paint. When you're looking to sell your home, it's always best to make it as neutral as possible, which means not any colors. Oh, that's interesting. There's a dog here. Hello. And this is the rec center. So this is an area really close to all that construction right now, but eventually you're going to be really close to that rec center. Corner pantry. You got the 3 bedrooms upstairs. And the basement's not finished in this house. Now, this home has been listed for 20 days. It's been lowered in price. All these red means they've all lowered their prices. So probably likely started too high, and now they've had to come down in price to sell. You can see average days on market is 41. That's been active, but you can see some of these are at like 183. This is now under 490. It is 490. No garage. So asking for over 5 is pretty sketch, in my opinion. It looks like a new build that was trying to get something aggressive. Probably 490 is more of what it should be at market value. See this upgrade here? This costs the builder money. Now, this is interesting because they did it in this section, but then didn't do it over here. And if that's the bedroom, then you're not even going to see it. That's really peculiar. So there's the front entrance, and you come in this way. Lots of wide angle lens shot, by the way. So this house is probably a little bit smaller. That's 490, 1,637 square feet. 495, and you're getting an actual house. Now, this house is older. It's in the 90s. But wider house is going to feel a lot bigger. Yes, it's dated, but you can change and update things. You can't change and update the layout of a home and make it bigger. So this has the capacity, in my opinion, to increase in value more, change out the floors, change out the kitchen. This is easy. Just take these things down. And all of a sudden you have a much nicer, bigger home that will last your family a lot longer. And the price point's not much different. Obviously, you're going to be spending some money to update the home, but it comes back in equity value. Okay. So that's the advantages you have of buying in this older area. You've got different areas where it allows you to do that. This is Zone 58. This has like the older areas, which is the Lewis Estates, right? So you got this area, and then you also have that. And I believe Zone 50 also includes the Hamptons. So you also have homes in there that are also maybe not as old as the one I just showed you, but these shingles look like they need to get replaced. Lino. That's hardwood? Yeah, that's hardwood. And the kitchen's not oak, but it's still like an older style. This style, if you wanted to take this wall out, you have to think about where you're going to put that fridge, which you could move it actually. And if you could hire a designer and just to redo this, I've seen some really great designs that are modern. Obviously a kitchen reno is going to run you, especially if you're taking walls out, upwards of over 50,000. And also depends on if you're planning to do the work. There's also a thing called mortgage plus improvements. So make sure you ask about that with your mortgage broker to see if you qualify and how that works to buy an older home and be able to get the house you want. One of our clients bought a house and gutted it and The flooring's new, the wall painting is new, the kitchen is new, the bathrooms are new. It looks really nice. And if they were to have bought that already done, it would have been a lot more money. And now they've got the equity because they're still coming out ahead. They're still spending less money overall than paying for it. And also they're not dealing with multiple offer in that demand. Now, if you take a look at the zone 20, the older area, if I take off pending deals from 71, you're at 60. So there's 11 deals pending. And we've got 369 all the way up to, 3 million. That's crazy. What is 3 million? Oh, Cameron Heights. So Cameron Heights, Donsdale, Wedgwood, Garapi has a 1.4 million. So these are all quite normal, other than Garapi being in the over a million. Don't see that very often. And if you're looking to see what you get for 369, small little, this is like a duplex because there's 2 doors here. It's like the 80s. And it has been updated, but the kitchen's just been painted. Yeah, it's the old original. And this house is 1,000 square feet, 1980. You spend like 20K more. You got a split level in Aldergrove, which is close to the what do you call it? The LRT station that's being built, or not station, the road, or the route. But also, yes, the station's going to be over there. Old cabinets. I don't understand why you put new countertops and have an old cabinet. They just don't want to spend the money, I guess. This flooring is old too. Oh, this is this classic 90s. This used to be the oak, and then they just painted it all white. So that's an Aldergrove plate, and that is really small, 889 square feet. That's like above grade. So maybe the 3rd and 4th level are below grade. You've got a lot in Cameron Heights for 474. And then you've got some of these houses in Deschênes. Interesting, that's 649. What's this one? So Deschênes interesting because there's like homes like this, and then there's homes that are even older that have not been renovated. This one looks like it's been updated, but not recently. Ooh, the mirror wall and the glass brick is a dead giveaway for the age of the house. A lot of people don't keep that mirror wall. Black sinks, and then old windows. This is interesting. Is that a hole? I think it is. That's really interesting. So, yes, this is, oh, wow. This is like a 90s. That they probably replaced these sinks because it probably was black to match all this. I'm surprised there's not a black toilet. Interesting. So let's take a look at some of your guys' questions right now. Let's see. What is going on with prices in duplexes in Summerside? That's a great question, but I need to know more. Are you talking about a specific duplex? Are you talking about duplexes in general? You need to give me a little bit more context for me to answer that question. I know you don't work with condos much, but have any insight into condos that Edmonton can still cash flow as an investor? I never, ever advise condos for investment purposes because you have a higher risk with condos. You have both, not just the fact that you're one of many, you have condo fees, you have increasing condo fees, which affects your cash flow. You also have special assessments that are a risk that also affect your cash flow. And if you're looking at outside of cash flow and you're looking at overall equity gain, in Edmonton, notoriously, they have never gained a whole lot of money, especially if you look back, and they're just starting to sell in the last couple of years. So that's my opinion, and that's why I don't talk about condos a whole lot, because they're not favorable. A lot of accidental landlords come from having owned a condo, bought it, couldn't sell it for what they want, so now they're just renting it out because they can't afford to lose the money. But sometimes they're not even making everything make ends meet because the condo fees continue to rise. The property taxes they really went up this year in Edmonton, and Edmonton's property taxes are something crazy. If you look at Calgary's versus Edmonton, Calgary definitely wins. I don't understand our property tax system here. And then your mortgage payment, those all don't really amount to a whole lot. If you're taking a look at duplexes in general, there's a higher demand for duplexes and townhouses in the last few years because houses started to creep up in price. And so more people are looking to move into those duplexes, townhouses, and those prices have gone up because of that. If you take a look at the video I just launched this last weekend, sorry, you'll see the overall prices have increased by, I think, about 5 or 6% for those properties because of just the demand that we've seen. So next week I am on holidays. I'm actually on holidays I'm on holidays, and then I will be back the following week to report to you. Because I'm not going to be here next week, don't forget, if you are in Edmonton, to check out the Edmonton Heritage Days Festival, which is on the long weekend of August. It's one of our favorite festivals that we're going to miss this year. And it showcases all the different cultures in Edmonton and all their food and their dances, and it's just such a great time. You want to make sure you check it out. Harlech Park is still closed after how many years? And so it's still over at the expo area, like the Borden Park area. I can't wait till it goes back to Harlech Park. It has been a long time for that Harlech Park renovation to be finished. I think they're actually finishing up this year. So hopefully next year, Heritage Days will be back where it used to be. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the summer weather.